Welcome to the season of becoming. Becoming who you truly want to be. Through this month, we have worked on doubling down on our efforts. We have found the strength to continue when things go to shit. We have also found our true, authentic self and know who we are. Now in this video, what we get to do is figure out what the hell we want. See, we didn't start here. We didn't start the season of becoming with what we truly wanted because we don't know what we truly want without finding ourselves first. And that's why we didn't start here. We were already working on our path. We were already doubling down our efforts, finding our true self, and figuring out what we want to do in our lives. And if we started here, we'd have to keep coming back to this every week, every time to figure out, okay, now what do we want? We figured out this part of our life, now what do we want? We figured out who we are. Okay, now what do we really want? Oh shit, we learned this about ourselves. What do we want now? See, we needed to learn about ourselves first. We needed to figure out where we are, who we are, and what did we want to become before we could figure out what we really wanted in our lives. The way we're going to figure out what we truly want, find ourselves, find out who we really are, and then what fits with us. There are three things in our lives, three staples that we cannot live without. There is no question that we need them in our lives. And that's food, shelter, and clothing. Those are the three things we cannot bargain with. So knowing that we need food, shelter, and clothing, everything else is a bonus. So once we have those needs met, everything else is just a cherry on top. If you have food, if you have shelter, if you have an adequate amount of clothing to be able to get through the day, through the week, well, then you're good. Your life is great. Now what we're trying to do is fill the space around that. I don't know if you've seen the video of the professor that comes out with this big jar and asks his students if it's full. There's nothing in it. Of course, the students say no. He then pulls out some golf balls and proceeds to dump those into the jar, fills up the jar. He proceeds to go to his students. Now is the jar full? And they all look at it. Yeah, it's full. Well, then he comes out and picks out some marbles and dumps that into the jar. Every last marble. He looks at his class. Now is the jar full? Well, they all look around. Yeah, of course it's full. Well, now he comes and picks out some sand. He dumps sand in until every last speck of sand out of the one container goes into the jar. Now the sand, being so tiny and minuscule, fills up every crack and crevice within that jar. He then looks to his class. Now is the jar full? See, that's what we're doing with our life. That's what we're doing with these videos in the season of becoming, creating who we are, filling out the most important pieces, the golf ball size pieces, the big things in our life that we need to hold on to. Food, shelter, clothing, the big pieces. Now that we have those taken care of, now we're moving down to the next stage. What else can we add to our lives to give it some flair, give it some spunk, give us some happiness and joy, things that we don't necessarily need, but we want to have. Now with us rounding that stuff out, then we go a leg deeper. We get those little granulars of sand, and we start filling that up around in our life. The little acquaintances, the people that we know, the hobbies that we have, the jobs, every little thing that happens in our lives, driving to certain places, taking different routes, trying different things, dabbling into stuff that we've never tried before. All these little things round out our life. But if we don't focus on the big stuff first, then we're going to focus too much on the little things that don't matter, which is why we needed to find ourselves before we can find out what we want. See, in the beginning of this month, we found out who we are. And through this month, we figured out what we wanted and how we wanted to live. Now we're able to, in this season of becoming, in this first month in the season, we're able to figure out what do we truly want in our lives to round it out, to make it a full, healthy life, full of joy and happiness, filled with a profession that you love, family and friends that you care to be around, hobbies and entertainment that you can't live without, making your life a healthier and happier life with more joy. That's what we're ultimately doing here. So when we're finding out what we want, This isn't just throwing caution to the wind. These are calculated risks we're taking. Because not only are we trying to find just what goes with us, we're trying to find what motivates and excites us. And it's different for every one of us, isn't it? For some people, it might be fun and exciting to do Dungeons and Dragons. For other people, it might be fun and exciting to jump off buildings. And still more, it might be fun and exciting to go out drinking at bars. We're all different in our own right, and we should be proud of that. But not everything one person does is going to be good for another person. What I do might not be good for you, and vice versa. So what really excites you? What really motivates you to live your life, to get out of bed in the morning? I know it's harder on Mondays to get out of bed, dragging yourself and drudging yourself to a job that you may not like. Start there. If you don't like your job, find one you will like. And I know what you're thinking already. I know all the people waiting to write their comments in the comment section. You don't know my life. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I need to do, this, that, and the other. Excuse after excuse after excuse. We've all got excuses. You throw those to the side, what do you have? You have a miserable existence. So let's change that. Let's find out what we want. And that's what we did in this month. Now we need to find out what we want in our lives that excites us and motivates us. So if the job that you have doesn't excite and motivate you, find something else. Yes, you may have been in this job for a decade or more, or you may be a couple years new into it. If it doesn't excite you, you're going to hate your life moving forward. If you haven't done the work necessary to mentally barricade yourself against these negative energies, it's going to run you down. You're going to be anxious, stressed, depressed, and it's going to keep spiraling downward until you fight against it. So why not start now? Find out what you want in your life. Again, what motivates you? What excites you? What lights you up? It could be anything. It could be as simple as reading a book. If that excites you, find a job in that arena. Well, John, it doesn't pay well and I need money. Then you need to look at your life. Look at your expenses. Look at what you're consuming. Is that you? Or is that your friends telling you you need to consume that? Is that your family telling you need to consume that? Is that society telling you that you need to consume that? We don't need to keep up with the Joneses here, people. We need to live our lives the way our lives were intended to be lived. Each and every one of you is different. We all don't need a white house and a white picket fence. We don't need 1.2 children, a dog and a cat living in the suburbs. Some of us, and I believe more and more of us nowadays, are moving away from that ideal because we've understood and starting to understand ourselves and what we truly want and what truly makes us happy, makes us content, and brings joy in our life. So take the time to sit in yourself, by yourself. Comb through your thoughts, your dreams, your desires. What excites you? What are you told that should excite you? And wade through all that information. I've been saying it week after week. You need to sit up here with yourself. Think about everything you've been told, taught, and learned. Are people telling you this, or is it your ideas and thoughts? Figure it out. Figure out what excites you, what motivates you, what inspires you to get out of bed, to get your ass off the couch, go to the gym, go for a walk, go read a book. Or maybe getting your ass on that couch is where you are meant to be. Not as a zombie staring at the TV, mindlessly consuming whatever show you're watching, not doing anything productive or helping your soul, your heart become full. So take a long, hard look at yourself. Sit with yourself. You've already found out who you are. You've already motivated yourself. You've already found out that you have the strength to go through some shit in your life and come out on the other side unscathed. With more knowledge, with more experience, with more belief in yourself, more faith in who you are. Don't throw that all away. You have some great building blocks to create a life that you've only dreamt of. You're right there. You're on the cusp. You're on the cusp to create a life that not only that you dreamed of, but now you're living. And this is how we do it right here. Figure out what we want. What we want. Not what somebody else wants for us. What we want. So take the time. And I know some people are going to argue on this becoming who you want to be, in this season of becoming, that we should have started with this first. And again, I say, why stop what's already working? And that's why we doubled down first in the beginning of this series. We doubled down on our efforts on what already was working for us. Continue the momentum forward instead of stopping everything to recollect ourselves. We started on that first to keep the train moving forward. With that momentum, we can work on the small things here and there to figure out who we want to be, what we want to be, why we want to be that. For ourselves, not for other people. And once we collected all that information, that data, analyzed and was able to come up with who we truly are, authentically ourselves, well then again, like my analogy before, now we can bring in those little granulars of sand and start filling in the rest of our lives with things that really light us up, really invigorate our spirit and our soul, and want to get out of bed, want to move around, smiles on our faces every day. Whether it's a good day or a bad day, we know that we truly live that day as if it was ours. And to continue this season of becoming, I'm extremely excited. Next month, we're going to ride the wave. Ride the wave of this season of becoming, and we'll get to that. You'll understand and see that coming next month. Until then, revisit the July videos by clicking on the videos here or going to the July 2022 video playlist that has everything you need to recreate yourself.